So as an introvert, I'm very grateful on a number of levels. So I'm grateful that I can be alone. I'm grateful when I can find time to be alone. But I'm also grateful for the people who make my life just so much more enriched.
Stay connected to gratitude. Hit the follow button right now and join thousands of listeners tuning in each week. We're the Gratitude Seekers. Come join us. Hi, Gratitude Seeker. Welcome to a new episode of the Gratitude Podcast. With me today, I have a really special person. Her name is Sarah Werner, and she is also a podcaster. She helps creative people find work-life balance, find new ways of being creative, and all kinds of cool stuff. She is also a writer for Forbes, if I know correctly. And she has written a piece that has been very helpful for me, introverts and extroverts, especially in the podcasting area, because I am an introvert and I am doing podcasting, and I felt like it was written for me. So without further ado, hi, Sarah. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Hi, I'm so excited to be on your show. Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm very excited.
Sure. So tell us a few words about what you're working on, your projects and everything.
So let's see. As you already said, I am the host, editor, all of that good stuff of the Right Now podcast. That's WRITE now. I'm that person. I'm sorry. I have my merch here. I'm also really excited to launch a new creative project, which by the time this episode airs, it sounds like will already hopefully be out. It is an audio drama. So it's a fictional podcast, science fiction, because I'm a dork. And it's called Girl in Space, and it's about a girl in space. And so look for that on iTunes, Stitcher, all of that good stuff. And wish me luck.
Yeah, well, we will link it in the show notes. I think it's going to be interesting because I know you're doing great creative stuff, and also I love science fiction as well. So I don't know if it's for guys, but it might work.
Oh yeah, it's for everyone. It's for everyone.
Good.
Just ignore all the purple and pink, and
yeah,
it's still a good story, I think.
Yeah, awesome. So I wanted to ask you firstly, what does gratitude mean for you, Sarah?
Gratitude for me means a lot of different things, but mainly it means a state of being. And this is something that you probably cover a lot on your show, but it just means putting yourself aside and focusing on other people. It's really a humble thing. It's realizing that the earth does not revolve around you. The sun does not revolve around you. Nothing really revolves around you. You are revolving around other people. And they are what is important in life. And so if you come to things from that perspective, I think that you'll find gratitude comes naturally. Yeah,
that's very beautiful. And I'm glad that you're one of the persons for the people for which gratitude comes naturally. To be honest, I am not that kind of person. And it's one of the reasons why I actually started this podcast, to learn more from people like you that are able to do this and to live with gratitude, like it's something normal. And I really appreciate this. And I think that it's something that we can all learn from.
Got it. And I wouldn't say it comes naturally for me. I think it was taught. I think my parents taught it. My dad is a Lutheran pastor, and I think it's kind of one of those things that kind of comes with the territory. It's sort of seeing others before you see yourself was one of the things that he really taught us growing up. So I think I still have to work at it. Like, it doesn't come easily or naturally for me. It's just sort of built into the core of my brain. So I want to clarify that it's not necessarily easy all the time. And I definitely get into places where I'm like, why isn't everybody paying attention to me? Why don't I matter more? But yeah, having that sort of seed planted in there at an early age definitely helped.
Yeah, this is wonderful, actually, because generally when we see someone that's grateful as a habit, like it's always that person is always grateful, we tend to think that they are just born with it, and they are just positive, optimistic, and they see everything that's beautiful in the world. But you said something very interesting, that you were actually taught, and it's something that we can learn, the ones that aren't as great at it. And yeah, I think this is a good point.
Yeah, it's completely a mindset.
All right. So I'm also really curious how gratitude works for you as an introvert. From what I understand, you see yourself more as an introvert than an extrovert. I have listened to a couple of your podcasts, and I know that you're actually somehow in between, like many of us, but yeah, mostly an introvert. So how does gratitude work for you as an introvert?
What a great question. I'm going to have to think about that for just a second. As an introvert, people tend to think of introverts as being maybe a little antisocial or asocial, like, oh, you hate people. No, I love people. People are amazing. I love people, but I just get my energy from like really withdrawing myself from other people and maybe being alone a little bit sometimes. It kind of depends on what you want to surround yourself with. And I want to ask, is my connection coming through okay?
Yeah.
Because you're frozen a little bit. Okay, perfect. Good. Okay. I'll keep going then. So as an introvert, I'm very grateful on a number of levels. So I'm grateful that I can be alone. I'm grateful when I can find time to be alone. But I'm also grateful for the people who make my life just so much more enriched. It's really easy to say, I'm an introvert, and so naturally I prefer to be alone. This is just my natural state. I don't really need other people. It's really easy to go down that path and say, like, I can just do this on my own, but you can't. You can't. You think that you do things alone, but then you take a step back and you say, well, actually, I really learned this from this other person, or this person taught me this or told me this, or this person really believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And it's not just me. The other thing is, as an introvert, a lot of my friends growing up were books, which is why I love reading and writing so much today. Like, I would go to like a relative's house for a holiday party, and I would like shut myself in the bathroom and read, like hiding from other people. But people create those books. And so, you're not as alone as you think you are. I don't know if that answered your question, but that's kind of where I come in.
I think it's a really good point of view, and it's really interesting because I can totally relate. Like, I am an introvert. I need my time. I need time with myself, but also I love being with people. And one thing that I spoke about in quite a few episodes in Gratitude Reminders, it's another part of the Gratitude podcast, was the fact that we need other people in our life, that we can't do everything ourselves, gets us to feel grateful. Because if we would do everything ourselves, we wouldn't have anyone to be grateful for, and usually the things that people say they are most grateful for is other people, and yeah, even as introverts, even though we need our space and our time, we still love people, and we still appreciate them quite a lot. And I think this is a great point that you made, the combination between the two.
Thank you.
So, yeah, also what I wanted to touch upon, and I'm really curious of your perspective, if you feel that gratitude helps with creativity. I know that I've read an article about this, and someone that's pretty well known, but I can't remember the name, said something like this, that gratitude has a lot to do with creativity. And I thought that it was an interesting point of view. What do you think about it?
In 2023, help yourself to delicious, convenient recipes that support your healthy lifestyle and taste good too. Eat well in the new year without sacrificing taste. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for eating well, with dinners that work for you, not the other way around. Green Chef is now owned by HelloFresh, and with a wider array of meal plans to choose from, there's something for everyone. I love switching between the brands, and now you, my dear gratitude seeker, can enjoy both brands at a discount. They're now offering 10-minute lunches. Each week's menu includes 2 convenient, low prep, and nutritious lunch recipes ready in just 10 minutes. No cooking required. Perfect for when you're on the go or pressed for time at the office. Personally, I love the fact that they have such a wide variety of meals. Whether you prefer keto or gluten-free or vegetarian like me, they got you covered. Of course, I recommend the vegetarian plan, even if you're not a vegetarian. Just try it out. Go to greenchef.com/gratitude60 and use code gratitude60 to get 60% off plus free shipping. Yes, you heard that right. Go to greenchef.com/gratitude60 and use code gratitude60 to get 60% off plus free shipping.
Gratitude and creativity. I love this. I think that, so there's the saying that, there's no new ideas. There's nothing new under the sun, right? That there's only 3 stories in the entire world, and that they've already all been told by the Greeks. There's the comedy, the tragedy, and the history. And it's a really good idea to remember that when you're creating, that you are not in a vacuum. You are not alone. You are creating things in a giant organic structure that changes and morphs as people come and go and add their own creativity to the boiling pot, so to speak. So, we really have a lot to be grateful for as creatives. We're building upon ideas. We're building upon others' ideas. I watch an episode of a TV show or I read a book, and those ideas become part of my ideas. And so it's really a beautiful thing to realize that we're all so interconnected. If you put me in a vacuum, I don't know what my ideas would be like, because I'm just so influenced by everything I've read and seen, by conversations I've had with people. And other people even invented paints and crayons and pastels, and someone invented the chisel so that you could create a sculpture. So we have all of these things to be grateful for. You couldn't be a sculptor if no one had invented these tools. You couldn't, you couldn't even do a paper mache thing if nobody had invented paper mache. So that's kind of one aspect of gratitude and creativity. I think a little bit of a deeper aspect of gratitude and creativity is when you create something, you're giving, right? You're not. I know a lot of people say they create things for themselves, and maybe they do a little bit to satisfy that creative itch. But when you're creating something, you're acting on a gift that was given to you, a creative gift that was given to you, and then you in return are giving it to other people, right? So I write a book, I publish it, and people read it. Or, I create a sculpture and people look at it and maybe they're moved and they experience some kind of emotion. And where I'm going with this is there's a give and a take to gratitude. And so I think that, and I'm still having my coffee here, so excuse my brain farts. I really think that to be creative is to give gifts, and to give comes from gratitude, because, if we're not grateful, we're always taking, we're not considering other people. And so really thinking of your creative gifts, not only as gifts that were given to you, but as gifts you can give other people. I think that gratitude has a large part to play in the creative process.
Yeah, I think this is a great idea. And I was also thinking how it usually something creative gets done. For instance, when I was in high school, we had a band, and funny, so it was a rap band, and so the kind of music that we created and the lyrics and everything were influenced by the things that we were appreciating. Like we did like a certain band. We liked it very much. And also, for instance, when I was in high school, I was reading self-development books. So I was doing the lyrics, and the lyrics were like motivational, you know. And it was quite interesting how different bits and pieces from other places that we were appreciating got together into something new, something creative. And I think it does come from appreciating certain things and putting them together into something new that is actually not so new, because it's from the bits and pieces from the other things, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite books is it's called Steel.
Hi, I'm Dr. Andreas Michaelitis, Chief Psychologist at Noom. This past year has shown us how important our overall health is, and Noom is here to help. Most weight loss plans fall short because they don't provide lasting results. But at Noom, our psychology-driven approach is designed to help you change your relationship with food. Changing the way you eat starts with your mind, and Noom gives you the tools you need to succeed on your terms. Sign up now and lose the weight for good at Noom.com. That's Noom.com.
Like an Artist by Austin Kleon. And it sort of play, a lot of people get discouraged when you say there's no new ideas. Like, oh, I wanted to invent something. I wanted this to be about me, but it's not. There's so many ideas out there that we work off of. And it's important to realize that you're part of a fabric, and you're not a little piece of something floating around all alone out here. You're a part of something really amazing, and it's definitely something to be grateful for.
Totally. And it's also there's another thing about this, the fact that we when we say things, sometimes we're not that creative when we say them. Like, there are things that we heard in the past, like the fact that we should be grateful. It's something that you might hear here and there, and afterwards you say it and you tell other people. But the thing is that we don't always really get the idea of it. Like, we don't actually understand the words and feel them. And I'm really curious if you remember the time when you actually got to feel gratitude and understand it on a personal level, not just on a theoretical level.
That's a great question. It's a great question. I have a couple of stories, but maybe I'll keep them limited so I don't bring this podcast to a runtime of like 9 hours. So I am what my mother calls a medical nightmare. I've had countless spinal surgeries and all sorts of things. I've had skin cancer. I've had just pretty much everything. Well, maybe not everything, but there's a lot of stuff wrong with me, right?
Oh.
And I had a life-saving operation when I was 16 years old. So I had a very severe case of scoliosis, and my spine had actually grown in backwards. So the base of my spine was facing outward. I think about that sometimes. If I didn't live in a time when we had, the medical advancements that we do today, I wouldn't be alive right now. And this is such an incredible thing. And it kind of depends what you focus on. So the surgeries that I've had have all been very painful. I had to learn how to walk again, which is not fun. I went through high school sort of with a hunchback, and that makes you real popular. And so there's a lot that you could choose to focus on and be ungrateful for. You could say, man, life really screwed me over. I don't have a lot of energy. I can't run. I lost my ability to swim. So if you throw me in water, I will drown. Like there's just so many things that I could choose to be ungrateful for. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, me too. That was the thing, that I can't swim also. So
and it's funny because I used to be a swimmer before my surgery. I used to swim competitively. I wasn't very good, but it was, it was something that I did. And but I am so grateful. I'm so grateful that I was able to get the medical attention I needed. I was so grateful for the surgeon who straightened out my spine and did all of these things to make it so that I could live. I mean, it's so important. And I think that it gives you a sense of perspective, realizing that, okay, I might not be alive right now if it hadn't been for that. I don't think you necessarily need a life-saving operation or a brush with death to appreciate what you have, but it certainly lends a dash of perspective that I like to share with people. It's like, oh, okay, yeah. I may be in pain a lot and I can't run and I can't do these other things, but on the flip side, I'm not dead right now. So I'm very, very grateful for that. And so when I was in the hospital, I was 16 years old for the first one. And I remember talking to my nurses, and every time a nurse came in, I was just like, you are helping me. I love this. You are so great. I'm so grateful for you. You're amazing. And the nurses were freaking out because they're like, everybody just yells at us all the time. Like, nurse, I need some ice, or nurse, I need this, or nurse, I hurt. And I made it a conscious decision to be grateful to the nurses. And it was actually really cool because they ended up I don't know. I was in the hospital for a long time, and so I kind of got to know them. And they would come in and they'd be like, "Oh, Sarah, here, I brought you a book," or "Hey, I brought you a movie from home, and you can watch it." And
wow.
it ended up being a really positive experience. I was in the hospital for a long time in immense pain. My spine had just been turned around. But I was having a great time making friends with these nurses. And every time, my favorite thing, and I still remember this, every time I would say something kind to one of the nurses and say, thank you for doing this, or show gratitude, their face would just light up. And it was just, what a feeling. What an amazing feeling to know that even when you're lying in a hospital bed, you can say words that can make someone else smile, that can make their day better. I mean, it's amazing.
That's so wonderful. I love it. I love your story. And I think that it teaches us something very important about our own life and about showing appreciation for the work of other people. Firstly, the fact that we have all kinds of problems, and we are wired this way to focus on them and to make sure that they get solved, because that's linked to our survival. But other than that, when we get perspective like this, when we see the fact that we are alive, and there are people that if you were, I'm just saying, in a third world country, probably you wouldn't exist right now, and it brings perspective into our life, and into the fact that we have so many reasons to be grateful right now. And also, even though you were in pain, you were able to show appreciation and to be different compared to other patients that were there, that were not appreciating the nurses there. And the beautiful part is that it came back in a positive way. And I hope that our listeners will see that expressing appreciation is something that's great for you because you get to show appreciation to other people, and it can also get back. So it's not something just altruistic if you're not the type to be very altruistic, but it's something that you can also gain some benefits from. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
It absolutely is. Yeah, it absolutely is.
Yeah. So you mentioned something about another story. If you want to share that with us as well.
Definitely. So, up until recently, I worked for a marketing agency. So I've been in marketing for 10 years. Wow. And I got to use some of my creativity there, and that was very fun. And it's very easy when you work for someone else, when you're in a cubicle or at a desk and you have someone else telling you what to do all day. It's very easy to get resentful. And I'm no stranger to this. I mean, I think everybody struggles with it. It's like, oh, stop telling me what to do. I can do this on my own. I don't need all this other garbage in my life. It's really easy to go down that path. And maybe I'd like to confess I did go down that path. And like, nobody appreciates me and I'm so amazing and all of that stuff. But, I got to a point where I decided I was going to leave my full-time job. And this was back in April 2017. And I planned for it for a while, and then I put in a month's notice. And after I did that, you start to see things differently because you're like, okay, I'm in my last month here, I'm heading out, and you kind of start to look at the people around you. And you realize that you get stuck in this spiral, right? This ungrateful spiral. And you're like, well, why should I be grateful? They're paying me. I'm here to do this work that they're giving me. I shouldn't feel grateful. But maybe if you don't like most of your coworkers, maybe there's still one that you like. Maybe you've learned a lot from a boss, even if the boss has been kind of a jerk. And so in that last month, working full-time in an agency, in a marketing environment, just realizing how much I had learned and how much I had grown, who hated advertising and thought that, I was selling my soul to, to work for a corporation and all that stuff. But in that last month, I really had to do some reflecting and say, this wasn't all me. I am so grateful for everything I've learned. And it just went even beyond job skills. It went to how to do sales, like how to conduct myself in a meeting, how to run a meeting, how to do some of these other tasks that I hadn't known how to do that I'd learned from my coworkers, how to be a good manager, how to be a good employee, and even, how much am I worth? Like, how much money should I be asking for? And when should I ask for raises? So it's just taking a step back and treating your employment as a learning experience. And I think that gratitude has a part to play in that, because you're not going to see it as a learning experience, and you're not going to learn as much if you're not grateful to be there. And if you're not at some point humble enough to say, oh, I couldn't do this all on my own. So I think that was a big turning point for me too. And to this day, I still have a good relationship with my old employer. They're just great people and they're doing great things, and we keep in touch. And it's just, I feel like it was a very healthy transition. So
that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I think that it's a good moment to see the beautiful things that were there and that you can bring into your new experience, because we have this thing called the hedonic effect, if I remember well, that after a while, when we are in a certain place, we get used to the positives, to the things that are working great, the fact that, I don't know, we have a great chair that we sit in, or that our computer works great compared to the computer we used to have, or something like this. And we only see the things that aren't working great, and okay, I have to sit on this on this chair for 8 hours a day, or I don't know, the fact that the chair is better than the other one doesn't even matter anymore. But it's something that we can only see when we get out of the situation.
Yeah. And you know what? You make a great point there too. And that reminds me of something else. And that is, you always have a choice. I think that, saying like, I have to sit in this chair for 8 hours, that reminded me that I thought that for the longest time. And then I was like, you know what? Screw this. I don't want to sit at this chair for 8 hours. So I brought in the materials for a standing desk, and I made the choice to do that. And so it's good to know too that you always have a choice, and that you can choose what you do and how trapped you feel in a certain situation. And I think that can also have a good effect on that too. So thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you. I love this point, because there is something really talking about creativity. When you're always thinking about what's not working and you're just complaining about it, and you're so focused on complaining about it that solutions, even though they might be just one step away, you just can't see them anymore. And the funny thing is that if you just focus for one bit at a creative solution, you might find it and you might get a whole nother experience. And I think this is brilliant, and it's something that I think our listeners can implement right now. Like, if you have something that you're complaining about all the time, just give it a little bit, 10% or 1% of your time, give it to focusing on some creative solution, and you might end up even more grateful for the place you're working in, or a particular problem. Yeah, I think this is awesome. Thank you. So what I also wanted to ask you, if you have some people in your life that you really appreciate, or that along your journey have helped you and you want to mention on the podcast.
So I am first and foremost extremely grateful for my siblings. I have 2 sisters and a brother, and we text each other all day. We keep each other grounded. We give each other the perspective that we need to overlook maybe the problems and to embrace the goodness in life. And so I'm very grateful for them. I'm also very grateful for my friend Joanna, who sends me bits of poetry to keep me inspired throughout the day, and to my mentor, Melissa, with whom I can meet over a cup of coffee and be myself and talk about anything. Finally, I cannot forget my husband, Tim, who supports me through all of this stuff. He's a writer as well. And so I'm very grateful that we're in a place where we can understand each other. We're both very creative. And he is just absolutely my partner in everything. And I'm just so grateful to have somebody like that in my life. So
that's so wonderful. I love the fact that you're both creatives, and that you know the struggle, how easy it is or how hard it is sometimes. And yeah, I appreciate the fact that you are courageous enough to do this. Like, it's not the easiest path to go on, from my experience and from the experience of other people. So it's quite something to be able to do this. So let us know a few things about your podcast, about the project that you're working on, because we are nearing the end of our time together, and also where people can find you, and if you want them to write to you or things like this.
Absolutely. Thank you for this opportunity. My gosh. Let's see. My name is Sarah Werner, and you can find me at sarahwerner.com. That's SARAHWERNER.com. You can get in touch with me through my website. You can also find me on all of the social media, and there's links to that on my site as well. Like I said before, I am the host, editor,
Everything.
Distributor, producer of my own podcast called the Right Now Podcast. of everything. Writers and all writers, and it gives you the time, energy, and courage you need to pursue your passion and write or sculpt or paint or dance or cook every day. Whatever your creative passion is, I want to help you realize that. You can find that out on iTunes, Stitcher. It's out on Werner.com. It's in all the places. Finally, like you said earlier, I'm working on a new creative project. I wonder if I have, I don't have any of my stuff here for it. So it's called Girl in Space, and it's an audio drama about a girl in space. It's science fiction. It should be a fun story, and it actually deals with themes of gratitude and feeling alone and being creative and being in a place, where you need to rely on other people. And so by the time this podcast comes out, it should be out on iTunes and Stitcher and all those other things. You can also find it at girlinspacepodcast.com.
Awesome. Awesome.
Thanks for letting me have that spiel there.
Sure. So I really love what you're doing. And I think that we need creativity in our life because especially for those that are working in jobs that they don't enjoy too much and that constrain a lot of their creativity. We need creative expression, and it's something that we just have inside of us. And I think that it's great to have a podcast to listen to that is focused on this and on the challenges of being creative and having the courage to actually do something like this. And I think it's also related to our inner child. Like when we were children, we wanted to play, we wanted to be creative, to write, to draw, to color, and that part of us, that inner child still exists. And I think this creativity brings it out, and it brings out also other parts of us that are important. And also I think it relates to gratitude as well, because when we are children, we usually appreciate everything like it's magical. Mm-hmm. And I think this creativity gets us back in touch with that and with our way of seeing the world in a magical way.
I love that. Yes, that is absolutely, yes, very well said.
All right. Thank you so much for being here with us and for sharing your stories, your experience, and your creativity. And thank you so much.
Well, thank you. This has been a delight. I love that I've been able to speak with your listeners. Thank you so much for your great questions. And this has just been an absolute delight.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, Gratitude Seeker. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this interview. I really appreciate it. And if you could think of one person that would also benefit from it, share it with them. It might actually be the inspiration that they need to make their day or maybe even their life much better. Thank you so much once again. This has been Georgian Benta. Don't forget to keep seeking and spreading gratitude.